Hey, what's up guys? Today, I'll show you a horror thriller film, The Toll. Spoiler ahead, watch out and take care. The movie begins with a rideshare driver named Spencer, looking for his next passenger. The app shows him some options. He skips the smelly men and chooses to pick up a girl named Kami, possibly because she smells good. Kami gets inside the car and inputs the address of her destination. Spencer comments that her drop-off location is quite far. A little while into the ride, Kami's mother video calls her to ask how she's doing. Through their conversation, it's revealed that Kami lives on the opposite coast, and she's coming to visit her father. It's also implied that Kami's parents are divorced, and she isn't really close to her father. After she ends the call, Spencer initiates a conversation with Kami. She further reveals that her father was supposed to pick her up, but her flight was delayed due to inclement weather. She also adds that the address Spencer is taking her to is her father's ranch in the middle of nowhere. He tries to ask her more questions, but Kami tells him that she isn't in the mood for a chat because she's exhausted. Spencer responds that it's alright, and she settles down for a nap. Kami wakes up sometime later. The driver informs her they're about 20 minutes away from the ranch. He creepily brings up her profile picture and comments that she looks great. He even asks if she's a photographer, and Kami says yes. At this point, Kami begins to feel uncomfortable about Spencer's interest in her. Worried that the man might crush his hormones on her, Kami quietly pulls out her taser and places it on top of her bag just in case. She looks out the window and notices that the area they're driving through is unfamiliar to her. She points this out to Spencer, and he explains that the app is making him go through that route. After a few minutes of silence, he tells Kami that she's a great passenger. He adds that he would often get a lot of creepy male passengers, so he tries to choose someone normal as much as he can. The topic turns to hobbies, and Spencer shares that he likes to hunt. However, he doesn't use rifles, but a classic bow and arrow. After this, he even jokes that he likes to hunt people as well, then laughs. The car turns into a dark road in the middle of the forest. Spencer asks Kami if she's okay, and she tries not to show him that she's a little scared. Suddenly, Spencer's phone glitches, and the map he was following disappears. Then a male figure appears in the middle of the road, and Spencer stomps on his brakes hard. He gets out of the car to check on the man, but he discovers that there's no one there. He's visibly shaken when he gets back inside the car. Kami is also terrified and urges Spencer to drive away. But when he tries to restart the vehicle, the engine is dead. Kami is suspicious that he's doing this on purpose, but he denies it, saying that he can't just break his car like that. Spencer goes outside to check his car's engine again. It's completely dead. Kami's phone is also dead, and Spencer's charger is no longer working. He suggests waiting for another vehicle to pass by, but Kami doesn't want to spend another second with him. She decides that she will try his luck walking down the road. Spencer gives her a flashlight, and Kami walks away with her suitcase in tow. She shines her flashlight around and spots a huge nest hanging from a tree. She turns around, but discovers that the road she had just come from suddenly has a roadblock. Written on the sign is a message daring her to keep going. Kami goes in another direction, but is soon stopped by another roadblock. This time, the sign is saying that someone can see her. Meanwhile, Spencer is still sitting in his car, passing the time. He smokes a cigarette and grumbles at how unlucky he is in picking passengers. The figure appears again in the reflection of his rearview mirror. This startles Spencer, and he steps out of the car to check. The figure is gone, but a message is scrawled on the dust of his car window, saying that he should pay the toll man. Spencer is terrified, but he tries to rationalize this as Kami pranking him. Eventually, the road leads Kami back to Spencer. She is surprised because it appears that she just went in a circle when she didn't even take a turn. Kami blames Spencer for taking an unfamiliar right turn earlier, and she tells him about the weird sign she encountered. Spencer shows her the message on the window too. Kami goes back inside the car, while Spencer keeps watching outside. She rifles through the glove compartment and sees various photos of her inside. She assumes that he has been stalking her for a long time and must be orchestrating this situation to kidnap her. Spencer taps on the window and tells her that he'll walk down the road to see if they did take a wrong turn earlier. Kami tries to act like everything is fine. When Spencer is some distance away, she unlocks the trunk of the car and grabs a crowbar so she can protect herself. Like Kami, Spencer encounters roadblocks in the road ahead, but he chooses to ignore the signs and keep walking. Eventually, he ends up back on the same road where Kami in the car is. He tells her that he doesn't feel safe outside, so he'll wait in the car as well. Spencer reaches inside the glove compartment and sees the photos. He accuses Kami of putting the photos there, and in turn, she accuses him of stalking her. He reminds her that she was the one who put the address in the app, and she could be the one doing this to him. She then points out that he was the one who took a different route. When she looks back inside for the pictures, they're no longer there. In the distance, they hear a woman laugh. The two of them go back inside. Kami apologizes for accusing Spencer. He tells her that he doesn't do well in social situations, and people always find him creepy. He also adds that he always thinks his passengers will kill him. Kami shares that she thinks all rideshare drivers will kill her too. They come to the realization that there must be someone else who is doing this to them and trying to get them to kill each other. Kami mentions that she knows someone who was a victim of a road trap, where people put up roadblock signs and attack other people and rob them. But Kami reasons that if someone wanted to rob them, they would already have done that earlier. Suddenly, Kami sees the figure peeking at her through the misty car window. This figure is wearing a mask over his head with a smiley face drawn with blood. Just as fast as he appeared, the figure disappears. Afterward, a rock comes sailing through the car window and breaks the glass. There's a piece of paper tied around it with a message ordering them to go to the detour to pay the toll man. Spencer spots a vehicle approaching them in the rearview mirror. It's a tractor being driven by an old woman. The two tell the woman about their strange experiences and ask for her help. The old woman's face goes pale, and she says that she cannot help them because they are in the realm of the toll man. It turns out the toll man is the mysterious figure who's been haunting them all night. The toll man sensed that one or maybe both of them were supposed to die tonight, so he redirected them to his domain where he will exact that death for himself. This death is the only toll that will satisfy him, rather than any physical cash or woman's hormones. To prove this, the old woman reaches out her hand and tells them that they won't be able to touch her. Even if she calls the police, they will only see an empty road. The only reason why she can see them is that the old woman had come face to face with the toll man before. Kami desperately asks her to call her father. The old woman agrees to do it as a favor, but she doesn't think Kami's father will ever see her again. As a bit of parting advice, the old woman tells the two not to let the toll man see them, because once he does, he will be able to get into their minds. The old woman leaves, and Kami decides that they should just go to the detour and confront the people doing this to them. Spencer takes his bow and arrow. When they reach the detour, an old song begins to play from a gramophone behind them. An invitation to the wedding of Kami's parents is propped up on the gramophone. Spencer and Kami walk deeper into the forest and follow the trail of rose petals. A man inside a sack hangs from a tree and drops to the ground. He calls out for help, and Kami realizes that it's her father's voice. She peels back the sack and discovers that it's really her father. He softly whispers to her to stay away from Spencer because he's involved in this scheme. Then her father dies. Kami stands up and tells Spencer that he killed her father. Spencer urges her to turn around so she can see that there's no one there, and what she saw was an illusion created by the toll man. Suddenly, the toll man appears behind Spencer. He's wearing all white, and the smiley face drawn in blood shines in the flashlight beam. Spencer shoots an arrow at the toll man, but it doesn't hurt him. Kami and Spencer flee and run deeper into the forest until they arrive at a clearing with a wooden cabin. Spencer realizes that this was a cabin he visited when he was a kid, and the cabin is familiar to Kami too. They both know that the toll man wanted them to see this cabin. They have no choice but to go inside. At first glance, the cabin appears to be a normal old house, littered with dirty furniture. Outside the window, a bonfire is roaring. They turn around, and in front of them are several television sets. A screen flickers on, showing them a blonde woman and dark-haired man sitting inside the cabin. They are both wearing plague doctor's masks and white leotards. The blonde woman holds up a sign, telling Kami not to turn her back on Spencer because he will kill her. The video changes, and now it's showing Spencer and Kami via the camera set up in front of them. Kami sees on screen that Spencer is trying to kill her with his bow and arrow. Meanwhile, Spencer sees that Kami has grabbed a gun and is pointing it at him. Spencer tells her that he's not trying to kill her. The toll man is just making her think that. The toll man specifically gave her the gun, so she would be spooked enough to shoot him. He argues that they need each other to survive the night. He successfully convinces Kami to put down the gun. Spencer recalls what the old woman said about not letting the toll man see them. He comes up with the idea of going back to the car and hiding there. However, the masked man and woman from the video are now sitting in front of the bonfire, wearing matching tracksuits. The masked woman removes her mask, and Spencer recognizes her as his mother, who died from an overdose. It's now Kami's turn to convince Spencer that what he's seeing is not real. His mother tells him that she wasn't able to tell him what she wanted to say before she died, but now he should follow her into the woods, and she will reveal that to him. Despite Kami's protests, Spencer cannot resist this illusion of his dead mother. He follows her. Meanwhile, the masked man attacks Kami. She wakes up back in the woods, and she sees a younger version of her, crying on the bed. The masked man, who was a popular jock during her high school years, is standing in front of her and zipping up his pants. It is implied that he had forced his hormones on Kami. The man leaves, and Kami comforts her younger self. She tells Hurt that the man will never hurt her again, but her younger self just keeps crying. Suddenly, the younger Kami disappears. The present Kami is now surrounded by several people: a nurse, a doctor, a cop, a classmate, and her parents. All of them doubted Kami's story when she came forward about being raped by the jock. Their hurtful words all echo in her head until they merge into one voice telling Kami to kill herself. Kami screams, and the people disappear. She is now in front of an old woman, dying in a hospital bed. She is future Kami, showing her how lonely she will be her whole life. Future Kami tells Kami that she knows how heavy the burden that she has carried her whole life. She encourages Kami to kill herself because she will never escape the Toll Man. Instead, Kami shoots future Kami with the gun. Spencer finds Kami and wakes her up. They walk through the forest and stumble upon several masked people. They turn to the other direction, and they encounter a group of masked women in white dresses holding machetes. The girls chase Kami and Spencer until they get inside the car. He grabs the trash bags he has in his trunk and instructs Kami to block out the windows so the Toll Man won't see them. As they rush to pin the trash bags on the windows, Spencer's mother comes banging on the door. She hurls insults at him and tells him that she should have killed him when he was a baby. Meanwhile, the jock appears again, revealing that Kami became pregnant after he raped her, and her father tried to get them married to save the family from embarrassment. Once they block out all the windows, the illusions disappear. Spencer says that it must be near sunrise already, and they are close to being free from the Toll Man's clutches. Spencer's dashcam flickers on. At first, he thinks that maybe his car is working again, but someone holds up a sign to the dashcam telling them to check the time. His phone turns on and informs them that time has been frozen and sunrise won't save them. The sign changes and tells them that for the toll to be satisfied, one death would be enough. Spencer confesses that it's his fault. Kami comforts him and says that she won't let him die for her. Then the sinister twist comes. Spencer's voice turns cold as he reveals that he had been imagining raping and killing Kami when he saw her profile picture on the rideshare app. It turns out this was the air of death that the Toll Man sensed and thus led to them being trapped in his realm. Apparently, the Toll Man wanted to collect the death toll himself, and he didn't even need to show Spencer many hallucinations like he did with Kami, because Spencer already wanted to kill her at the beginning. Kami reaches for Spencer's arrows, but he quickly bashes her head against the window. She flings open the door and runs down the road, but Spencer shoots her down with an arrow. Kami falls to the ground. Spencer assumes that the toll has been paid to the Toll Man, so he comes back inside and tries to start the vehicle, but it still wouldn't start, so he realizes that Kami must still be alive, and the toll is still not satisfied. He walks to her and says that he has killed so many girls before, but the Toll Man doesn't care as long as one of them dies tonight. When he gets near enough, Kami springs to action and kills Spencer with the arrow he shot her with. The Toll Man is finally satisfied. Kami's father finds her lying half dead on the road. The old woman had made good on her promise and called Kami's father. The movie ends with her father carrying Kami and taking her to the hospital. This is Daniel CC Movie Channel. Stay safe and enjoy your day.